So, what is the big lie about Freemasonry, and where did it originate? The anti-Masons' whole argument is based on a house of cards that has the word Lucifer as the supporting card. They all quote the same source, one Leo Taxil, the anti-cleric and the pornographer. The anti-Masons like to misquote Albert Pike, and what he wrote in Morals and Dogma, which was his personal philosophy on comparative religions, and not that of Freemasonry. They also like to state the fake Pike quotes, attributed to Leo Taxil, which was part of the Taxil Hoax, a known hoax since 1897. Anti-Masons only quote one sentence of Pike's, and claim that he means that Freemasons worship Lucifer. What they don't tell you is that there are a sentence or two before and after that, nor will they quote them. One bigoted anti-Mason, on YouTube, tried to say these extra words were insignificant, which was the biggest lie I've heard in a while. Albert Pike wrote about why the word Lucifer was considered dark, when it was, in fact, a word meaning light-bearer, in Latin. He understood that the King James Version Bible translation was wrong, just as was the Latin Vulgate, where it came from, though the Catholics knew that Lucifer meant light-bearer, or constellation, and not Satan. So did the Geneva Bible, the first Bible used in the U.S., which had a footnote about it, which was correct, and precedes the King James Version by 10 years. Luther and Calvin, both reformists, along with the Jews, knew better, too. The ignorant Anglicans, with their new King James Version Bible, or who turned the word Lucifer into Satan, over pure stupidity. Writing in 1713, the Anglican bishop, Burnet, said that those who came to be ordained as clergymen were ignorant to a degree not to be comprehended by those who are not obliged to know it. Here is the entirety of what Pike said, which the anti-Masons don't want you to read, and just take their word for it. Quote, "The apocalypse is, to those who receive the 19th degree, the apotheosis of that sublime faith which aspires to God alone, and despises all the palms and works of Lucifer." Lucifer, the light-bearer. Strange and mysterious name to give to the spirit of darkness. Lucifer, the son of the morning. Is it he who bears the light, and with its splendors intolerable blinds feeble, for traditions are full of sensual or selfish souls? Doubt it not. Divine revelations and inspiration is not of one age nor of one creed. Plato and Philo, also, were inspired. The Apocalypse, indeed, is a book as obscure as the Zohar. It is written hieroglyphically, with numbers and images, and the apostle often appeals to the intelligence of the initiated. Let him who hath knowledge understand. Let him who understands calculate, he often says, after an allegory or the mention of a number. St. John, the favorite apostle, and the depositary of all the secrets of the Savior, therefore, did not write to be understood by the multitude. Now, I will read the first sentence, that the liars say is insignificant, and refuse to quote. The apocalypse is, to those who receive the 19th degree, the apotheosis of that sublime faith which aspires to God alone, and despises all the palms and works of Lucifer. Apotheosis is the glorification of a subject to divine level. The term has meaning in theology, where it refers to a belief, and in art, where it refers to a genre. Those who take the 19th degree despise all the palms and works of Lucifer. Yes, that is what Pike really wrote. What do anti-Masons only quote of it for Pike? Lucifer, the light-bearer. Strange and mysterious name to give to the spirit of darkness. Lucifer, the son of the morning. If you notice, that is the old preacher's bait and switch, where they'll say a Bible verse means something, but when you read the verses before and after, it actually means something else. Why does Pike say what they quote? Because Lucifer means light-bearer in Latin, not Satan. He is poking fun at the ignorant, who think Lucifer is Satan. The King James Version Bible only mentions the word Lucifer once, in the book of Isaiah. Here, it is talking about the king of Babylon, falling from grace, like the morning star falls from view, every morning. Now, you may wonder how the word Lucifer made it into the King James Version Bible. Simply because the King of England didn't have good Hebrew translators. When they couldn't translate a word, they picked up the Catholic Latin Vulgate, and quoted it. Why does the Latin Vulgate Bible say Lucifer? Because that is the best word that St. Jerome could come up with, when he translated the Hebrew into the Old Testament. He should have asked the Latin-speaking Jew. Here is what Isaiah 14:12 actually says, when translated by a Hebrew-speaking Jew, at the Complete Jewish Bible, online. 12. How have you fallen from heaven, the morning star? You have been cut down to earth, you who cast lots on nations. The morning star, the son of the morning, is Venus, which rises and sets every morning, at sunrise. The truth can be found at the websites listed. Bible.org. Is Lucifer the devil in Isaiah 14:12? The King James Version argument against modern translations. And at Christian Courier, who is Lucifer? Now, on to Leo Taxil, and the Taxil hoax of the 1890s. What DeLaRive wrote, laying it to Diana Vaughan, a fictional character from Leo Taxil, and lied about Pike saying it. Quote, that which we must say to the world is that we worship a God, but it is the God that one adores without superstition. To you, Sovereign Grand Inspectors General, we say this, that you may repeat it to the brethren of the 32nd, 31st and 30th degrees. The Masonic religion should be, by all of us initiates of the higher degrees, maintained in the purity of the Luciferian doctrine. If Lucifer were not God, would Adonai and his priests calumniate him? Pike never wrote nor said this. Quote, yes, Lucifer is God, and unfortunately Adonai is also God. For the eternal law is that there is no light without shade, no beauty without ugliness, no white without black, for the Absolute can only exist as two gods. Darkness being necessary for light to serve as its foil, as the pedestal is necessary to the statue, and the brake to the locomotive. Pike never wrote nor said this. Quote, thus, the doctrine of Satanism is a heresy, and the true and pure philosophical religion is the belief in Lucifer, the equal of Adonai. But Lucifer, God of light and God of good, is struggling for humanity against Adonai, the God of darkness and evil. Pike never wrote nor said this. What has been spoken of, so far, is the foundation of every anti-Mason and Bible-thumping minister, and even though they've been shown the error of their ways, they would rather lie to their congregations and listeners, by continuing to repeat it. Below are several quotes from Taxil, when he admitted he lied about Albert Pike to the Catholic clergy, and the press in Paris. Quote from Leo Taxil, in France, 1897, about his books. The Devil in the 19th Century was mainly written to introduce the existence of Miss von Huus, play the main part in the hoax. Had her name been Campbell or Thompson, we would have given our sympathetic Luciferian the name of Miss Campbell or Miss Thompson. We merely turned her into an American, born by chance in Paris. We let her family originate in Kentucky. This allowed us to make her part as interesting as possible, by multiplying extraordinary wonders concerning her, which nobody was able to check. Laughter. Another reason was that we located the center of Palladism at Charleston in the United States, with the late General Albert Pike, Grand Master of the Scottish Rite in South Carolina, as founder. This celebrated Freemason, endowed with vast erudition, had been one of the highlights of the order. Through us, he became the first Luciferian Pope, Supreme Chief of all Freemasons of the globe, conferring regularly each Friday, at 3 p.m., with Master Lucifer in person. A most curious point in this story is that some Freemasons joined in the prank without in the least being asked to. Compared with the tugboat I had dispatched hunting for sharks in the coves of Marseille in my early years, the boat of Palladism was a true battleship. Here, Taxil is comparing an older hoax to the one for Freemasonry. Quote, again, we saw indeed some Masonic journals, such as La Renaissance Symbolique, swallow a dogmatic circular about Luciferian occultism, a circular dated July 14, 1889, written by myself in Paris, and which I disclosed as having been brought from Charleston to Europe by Miss Diana Vaughan, on behalf of Albert Pike, its author. When I named Adriano Lemmy second successor to Albert Pike, as Luciferian sovereign pontiff, then, Lemmy was not elected Pope of the Freemasons in the Borghese Palace, but in my office. When this imaginary election became known, some Italian Masons, among which a deputy at the Parliament, took it seriously. When I mentioned that during Miss Vaughan's imagined trip of 1889, when she was supposed to have brought the alleged dogmatic Albert Pike's circular letter to Europe, she had entertained many Freemasons in groups, in the course of 2 evenings in Naples, at Hotel Victoria. Taxil was who was at Naples. Quote from altreligion.about.com. Many of the rumors surrounding Freemasonry stem from the Taxil hoax, promoted by Leo Taxil in the late 19th century, as a mockery of both Freemasonry and the Catholic Church, which officially opposes Freemasonry. His writings were done under the name Diana Vaughan, who supposedly cavorted with demons as a Freemason before being saved by the intercession of a saint. The story won praise from the Vatican, after which Taxil confessed that Vaughan was imaginary and his details were made up. Anti-Masonic writings commonly claim that Masons honor Lucifer as the god of goodness while condemning the Christian god as the god of evil. This concept was originally attributed to Diana Vaughan by another publication and thus is considered to be part of the Taxil hoax. This video can easily be verified by visiting the websites announced, or any real Masonic website. I hope you have learned something factual from this video. Feel free to distribute this video worldwide. The end.